Kenya Power by counties and the revenue streams for Kenya Power, alternative revenue streams. Honorable Speaker, I am sure you all remember there was a very embarrassing spectacle in Nairobi just a few days ago, where the county government of Nairobi got into a spat with the Kenya Power company over unpaid bills. Honorable Speaker, it resulted in something of very petulant action that was taken by the governor or the county government of Nairobi to dump garbage outside the offices of Kenya Power and other premises of the power utility. I am happy that my governor has already apologized to the people of Kenya for that unfortunate incident. But, Honorable Speaker, there are very serious underlying issues, and I'm happy that this statement has been brought by the Senator for Nandi. Number one, Honorable Speaker, I understand that there has been a long drawn-out disagreement about how much Nairobi owes to the Kenya Power Company. And I am also aware that there have been joint auditing of those bills by both the utility and by the county government of Nairobi. And there is a joint communique that was signed on just how much this amount is. There was an initial claim of about 3 billion Kenya shillings, but after auditing jointly, they came to a figure of 1.8 billion Kenya shillings. Now, of importance, Honorable Speaker, is that out of that 1.8 that is claimed by the utility, the Kenya Power, 1.5 billion shillings is arising out of street lighting. Now, here is a conversation that I want this Senate to help us with, especially here in Nairobi. Honorable Speaker, although this street lighting is termed as a function of the county government, this is admittedly a national security function. And the Ministry of Energy themselves have agreed as much. I sat in a meeting with the CS for Energy, the Honorable Wandai, and he had told me that the ministry has acknowledged that this is something that the national government has to take up as a security function. And in fact, by the time of that meeting, which was about a month and a half ago, he told me that they had already written to EPRA so that this becomes a formal policy that county governments should not continue to pay street lighting bills. Honorable Speaker, the funny thing is that although Kenya Power acknowledges that the bulk of that bill is arising out of street lighting, when you have a dispute with them, they don't go and switch off the street lights, which is also a tacit admission on their part that they know that it is critical for Nairobi to continue to have those streets lit. If you look at the law that exists, Section 5 and Section 6 of the Urban Areas and Cities Act, it is recognized that Nairobi stands in a unique position as a seat of power, as a capital city of the country, and also as a diplomatic hub, Honorable Speaker. And that the national government, although certain functions are county functions, must step in from time to time to be able to support the workings of the county government. So, Honorable Speaker, we want to continue to urge the Ministry of Energy to follow through with that promise and make sure that because this is a national security function, they help counties to be able to settle these bills. Finally, Honorable Speaker, because you limited our time, there is a conversation about sources of revenue, on-source revenue for counties. Honorable Speaker, we have a spectre here in Nairobi where the county government used to host utilities, like they would do those utility lines on the ground. And then if you have your fiber optic cables or data cables you wanted to use, you would pay the county, and it was a very serious source of revenue. We have a situation where Kenya Power says they are not supposed to pay for way leaves in Nairobi or in other open spaces because the law says that you have to get the consent of a minister, which first of all is ridiculous, Honorable Speaker. You give a county the power to levy rates, and then you make those powers subject to the national government again. Of course, the CS for Energy will never allow Nairobi to levy rates for those way leaves. But the most critical thing is, Honorable Speaker, the Kenya Power Company then takes up business that was a source of revenue for the county government and tells the service providers who are doing data connections and the others that you can actually put your cables on our power lines, which is essentially robbing county governments of on-source revenue. So, Honorable Speaker, it is a situation that I am hoping, because I also happen to be a member of the Energy Committee, we will have a robust conversation about it. And lastly, Speaker, one of the things that is forgotten in the public debate, that bill, the Energy Act that restricts collection of rates on way leaves without the permission of the CS, is a 2019 bill. If you look at the 1.5 billion Kenya shillings that Kenya Power says is a debt owed by Nairobi, those debts precede that law. So, Honorable Speaker, how can you tell us that in 2017, for instance, we did not owe Nairobi money for way leaves? And a final appeal on behalf of the people of Nairobi. The national government institutions in Nairobi have refused to pay rates. Unfortunately, one of those institutions, Honorable Speaker, is this House. The Senate and the National Assembly, Parliament as an institution. All these buildings here in the Parliament Square and in the Government Square, they have refused to pay Nairobians rates. As we speak, it's over 100 billion Kenya shillings that we are owed as Nairobians for unpaid rates by national governments. If you gave us that money, Honorable Speaker, we would be able to do a light rail, the equivalent of the one that was done in Addis Ababa, so that all of you can come to work without having to sit in traffic. And I can assure you, we'll make a tunnel stop here so that we drop you at work, Honorable Speaker. You don't have to sit in traffic. So I am beseeching you and the entire Senate, please join Nairobi in asking the national government to pay us this money. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
The Majority Leader.
Matters that have been raised this afternoon by colleague senators and have been directed to the committees. Allow me, Mr. Speaker, to perhaps very quickly comment on two of them. One is on this security issue, in security situation in Laikipia. And Mr. Speaker, I continue to empathize with Kenyans who, out of challenges of security, lose their property. But because it's not in the traditional categorization of what property is, it's not a building or a car or